buffalo filet mignon. That is something I look forward to trying because we haven't tried that before. I mean, people, they would argue that filet mignon is the absolute best cut of beef/buffalo you can get. I don't know, I'm more prone to ribeyes, but it is a tender...
Picanha.
Or picanha.
That's my favorite.
But anyway, we wanted to test it out because this is buffalo from northern Greece, from Serres, and it's an absolute beautiful piece of meat. You see the color, it's pretty dark, and I have here a piece that matches for 2 nice filet mignon, so it's a question of just getting it cut in the middle. Just beautiful. Normally, if I were doing filet mignon, I would truss them with some butcher's twine to keep them nice and tall. I might even want to give them to make steak au poivre with pepper or anything, but we're not doing that today because we want to taste the buffalo meat.
Yeah, and judging by the Carpaccio, it was really good.
No, the buffalo Carpaccio previous episode, fantastic, I have to say that. So we're going to go real simple on this. We are just going to give it some salt. But before we do that, I also want to talk a little bit about cooking method, because you could put these in a vacuum bag with some rosemary, garlic, knob of butter, and vacuum it and put it in your sous vide, which is a fantastic way of cooking, and then sear them after. We have done that so many times, or we have done it on the barbecue. We have done many different reversed sear, whatever you can come up with. But today we are actually going to make it straight up on a nonstick normal pan to show you how you can make a fantastic steak in your apartment without having fancy cast iron skillets and grills and barbecues and this, that, and the other. And as I said before, normally I would truss them, but I'm not going to do that because since we're pan searing them, I'm going to flatten them ever so slightly so they're not that thick. So we get a better cook through and we make sure it becomes medium rare. And then we are simply going to salt them. It's still a thick steak, so don't be afraid here. You want some salt on them. And you want to do this, I mean, if you have the time, you could even do this the day before and then leave them overnight. But salt them up and leave them for, let's say, definitely an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, then you should be good to go. But if you have more time, by all means give it. The longer you give it, the more the osmosis will work to draw the moisture out on the surface and back in the steak with the salt. So we are going to let these little puppies here hang out on the board just at room temperature. If you leave them overnight, of course, put them in the fridge, but we will let them here for an hour and then I'm going to show you how we are going to sear them. They have rested nicely. As you see, the salt grains has disappeared and they have sort of infused the meat with some saltiness. And I'm preheating the pan over here. You want to make sure it's nice and hot, not too hot though. Then we're going to add a fair amount of oil, not too much, but you want to have oil so that you ensure good contact between the meats so that you get a good browning. And then it's all about getting them started. And in order to cook with this method, it's a question of keep flipping. You want to flip them ever so often so you don't overcook one side and get a thick brown zone. You don't want that. So 1.5 minutes on each side. And then we flip it first time. And as you see, we are beginning to get a crust here. But don't let it go till you have a full crust because then it will cook too much on one side. Now we do this and then we flip back again and again and again and again until we reach the temperature. 54, 55, 131 to 135 Fahrenheit. We've been flipping and flipping and flipping. And who says you can't get a good crust with this method? So you don't need it. And here we are, 53. So that's off because the carryover temperature will take it the next couple of degrees. Place them nicely over here on a beautiful olive wooden board here. And then all we're going to do for now is we're going to tent this with a piece of aluminum foil and let them rest for 8-10 minutes, something like that, while we move over the side so you can see a beautiful presentation. Let's see how we did on this. Got it open, and then we see here. Oh. If that is not beautiful, I don't know what is. That is just gorgeous. A little bit of gray zone because of the cooking method, but definitely nice and medium rare in the middle. So that's what we wanted to see. And that is a sight for sore eyes. I mean, you saw the thumbnail anyway. So beautiful steak, nice green peppercorn sauce. Link down below how to make that because it's fantastic. Double fried steak fries. I mean, this is a board
These are
that
kick-ass fries.
they're very good. But it's all about the steak here. It's all about the steak, not the peppercorn sauce, although it is fantastic. But this is just. But look, it's fantastic. It's just beautiful. I give up. I'm a food genius. No, I'm not joking.
Yeah.
That you can get that kind of crust, that tasty, on a simple non-stick pan from IKEA, that is amazing.
Yeah.
And buffalo, a very interesting cut of not beef because it's buffalo, but it is different from beef. It has a little bit of a gamey taste to it, which we also said on the Carpaccio. But once you cook it, that actually comes out more predominantly. Fantastic tenderloin. If you can get your hands on buffalo tenderloin, it's definitely worth it. Just do it. Give it a try because it's damn good.